All right, what's going on, everyone? Ricardo here with Linners and Wosers, and I'm joined by a special group of people here. Nick Rossers at Linners and Wosers, I'm Rich, but I'm not, joining us today, and Jon Hunt joining us today for our first ever USL League One local media roundtable. This is the pilot episode, super exciting. We're going to be diving into a lot, discussing USL League One day one, this off season. That's not an off season as Rich was mentioning earlier. And wow, we have a lot to talk about. Each team's transfer, who has been re-signed, who's out of contract, what we know, some information about the USL League One Cup. But before we go ahead and start with all that, wanted to go ahead and do some introductions here. And man, I'll go ahead and kick it off to you, Nick, and then I'll go after you.
Sweet, yeah. So let me just introduce myself. I'm Nick Rosser. I'm Rico and I started Linners and Wosers together. You might see us more on Linners and Wosers lower leagues for the USL One. My general involvement with the USL League One is that when Hailstorm first was announced that the franchise was coming to Windsor, Colorado, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a team really close to me. So I initially hit out to the social media team to think about starting a supporters group, and then after a while they reached back to me. I got in touch with the coach Eamon and some of the directors of the club, and yeah, we started with their backing, with their support, because you need that, have that liaison between them. So we started Storm Chasers. We're slowly growing still. The team's still slowly growing in attendance, like in Windsor, Colorado. It's not exactly like a soccer town, more football, baseball, but slowly growing. Yeah, I also run the Hail Yeah outlet, so if you want to see any of the stats from Northern Colorado Hailstorm, I got them all since I've been watching since day one.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and build off of that. Nick and I both started Linners and Wosers project back at the peak of COVID here, and then just talking about our favorite football teams. But now we are covering USL League One religiously, going to the games. We started the supporters group, as you can see, the Storm Chasers. As Nick said, it's growing. Small club, small community. As it's growing, our supporter group is growing, and really excited to be joined by some absolute legends, and in the future, some more absolute legends, just talking about the league and all the teams and the players. But you can go ahead and follow me on X and Instagram. I do a lot of videos when I'm at the games. If I get the opportunity to go ahead and interview players and coaches, I'll go ahead and do that. I've done that. Plenty of videos with Arthur Rogers. We've had Coach Iman Zayed on the podcast. Got the chance to say hi to a few Union Omaha players, fellow Italians, and it was awesome. So that's just a little bit about me here, and I want to pass it over to you, Rich. You guys probably know the goat of goats, but it's always nice to have you on the show.
It's great to be here, man. My name is Rich Flemings. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. I have been a Union Omaha season ticket holder since day one. And soon after going to all those matches and getting to know all the fans and getting to know some of the people around the club, I got pulled in to start doing some writing for the supporter group. The media group is called Who Gives a Hoot Media. So I do player introductions whenever player signings are announced. I do post-game recaps. I do post-game interviews. Anything I can do to help contribute and spread the word, not only for the club, but also, just the love of the game. And then I also do some writing for the Cup.us, which is an independent coverage group for the US Open Cup. And I also co-host a USL League One podcast called League One on the Rocks. So it's a lot of fun covering League One. It's a lot of fun getting to know everybody around the landscape. So it's a great time.
Absolutely
Love League One on the Rocks, and definitely go ahead and check out their videos on YouTube. That's where I watch all your podcasts, especially during the day when I work from home. You guys are amazing, both you and Brian, and we can't wait to have Brian join us as always. But we're joining Nick and I for the first time. We're joining Jon Hunt here. So glad to have you here. He is religiously on X, providing insight about USL League One, and then coming up here, the Super League. So I want to go ahead and give the podium over to you, Jon. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We're so excited.
Yeah, so thank you guys for having me. For those that don't know me, I'm Jon Hunt. I am the president of the Railbirds, which is Lexington's supporter group, as well as I have my own podcast I do with my co-host Jimmy. It's called Bluegrass Soccer Cast, where we focus on all things soccer in Kentucky. So that's mainly covering Lexington, Louisville, Racing Louisville, and then college soccer and some high school thrown in there when we can. But yeah, I've, as said, I'm chronically on Twitter because Twitter is where soccer info exists. So I'm all there all the time, learning different things, and then I occasionally contribute with a protagonist.
Awesome.
That's nice. And we know a little bit about that addiction on Twitter.
Oh yeah, don't worry. My girlfriend every Sunday is looking at my screen time. So yeah.
See, that's why I have it on my laptop at work. So it's
not. There you go. Of course.
And this wouldn't be a USL League One podcast if we're not showing what you guys are drinking. So, fellas, I know you have some nice beer to showcase. Say much. It's Italian beer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Voodoo Ranger, baby.
But
right now we're just sipping pretty. So don't worry,
I'm not drinking alcohol. I am drinking a mango soda.
There you go.
From Kroger.
Ooh.
I'll stick with you, Jon. I'll start off with the mango, and then I'll join Nick on the Voodoo Ranger.
There we go. Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good by the end of the show.
Well, guys, it's been an exciting offseason so far. As you guys can probably go ahead and tell, the league has already announced home openers. And so each team got to already see their first match at home. And we've had USL League One day one. And before we go ahead and just jump into that and just discuss a little bit of each team's resigns, who's leaving, what we know, our initial thoughts. I'm not sure if you guys have way too early predictions or just any comments, but I mean, Nick and I were already asking the question, where are we going to get 25 goals? So just a question like that. But before we go ahead and jump into all of that, let's go ahead and just have a quick 2023 season recap here. And I know everyone's already done that on their own channels here, but just a few thoughts as we finished off 2023 here. A fantastic season. Rich, Union Omaha coming at the top there, scoring 61 goals, conceding only 41, 19 wins, 8 draws. And 5 losses at home with that fantastic stretch over the summer. I just want to ask real quick, how would you rate your season if you were to give it a report card? Like this was math
Oh my
class.
gosh. The first half of the season, not so great. But once they started hitting their stride and started that win streak, yeah, it's hard not to give them an A+ at that point.
Yeah,
totally get it.
absolutely.
I mean, you spend the first semester going partying, having a bad time, and then you got to rally for the grades. And so, yeah, that mid-season rally was unreal, honestly, for me.
40 of 42 points, I believe it was.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And then, North Carolina ended up winning it all. They were just dogs all season. They kept up. They kept up with Omaha right to the very end, and then our boys happened to finish third, just right behind them, and then they smoked us in playoffs. So those guys were just dogs when it came down to it.
You guys think that there was do you think the pressure on North Carolina increased to win it after they announced weeks earlier that they were making the jump to the championship?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. If you're announcing mid-season that you're going to self-promote back up to the championship, yeah, the pressure's on to to show up or shut up at that point, and they did. They definitely showed up.
Yeah, they showed up.
Yeah.
No, I was happy to see them actually like earn their promotion in a sense that at least the number one team through and through is going up. But yeah, it was a fun season. I think John, your team finally in the USL League One. Like, how was that first? How was that first season of being a supporter in the USL League One? Like, what did you make? Did you make any away trips? Did you do? Tell me
We
about.
went. So I went to both Knoxville games
Okay.
because Knox is only 3 hours from Lexington, and then we have Chattanooga's like 5. Yeah, Lexington's not isolated like y'all's clubs.
Yeah.
But we had, funny enough, a good portion of Madison's groups, or a small army, showed up to our first home game. And that's the funniest thing is like, they were like, yeah, you're the second closest team to us. It's Omaha and y'all. And I was like, wow, I probably am never going up there, but but it was fun and interesting overall, getting to know the quirkiness of this league and all that stuff.
Who were
How
you
far
guys?
is it from Lexington up to Madison?
I think it's like 8 hours, 10 hours.
So it's pretty much even with Omaha. I would definitely encourage you to go up there. Bree Stevens Field is a great time.
I do want to go up there. The issue was like one of the 2 times we played them was like a Wednesday.
Yeah,
that'll do.
Gotta
it.
love that.
We'll do it.
Who was your guys' Open Cup
Louisville.
matchup? Was that away or home?
It was away at Lynn Family, which is only an hour in Louisville, which is only an hour from Lex. And I think that's going to be our traditional one from this regional talk they've been talking about. So I think we're getting them this year if what I've heard about the whole scheduling is going to work.
Yep. I mean, yeah, Hailstorm in our two seasons experience so far, we have to go 2.5 hours down to what is it? Carl Springs to play the Switchbacks for our first game, regional game. Right now there's a little shot. There's a semi-pro team right now cooking in Colorado. They're into the first round, so maybe we won't have to play the Switchbacks first.
Yeah, but that means you guys hosting a game in the month of April.
Hey, I don't mind. That's when you put the warm stuff on. I layer up 5 layers.
And that we would host a U.S. Open Cup game at home before a league game. Just if that were to happen.
Yep.
So it would be interesting actually to see if we would be at Future Legends Complex, because again, Nick and I had this discussion about Hailstorm. Why are we having another delayed home opener? We already know what it does, having playing X amount of games to start the season on the road. And I'm leaning towards the stadium. I mean, that's why we're so far out. So we're trying to be a little bit optimistic. Maybe it'd be best if we reached out to the club, see if we can go ahead and get some actual concrete information there. But right now we're on the speculation until we hear back. I mean it's so early into 2024. It's so there's no rush. I'm not stressing. But John, I wanted to ask you back on Lexington. Looking back at your expectations, if you had some at the beginning of the season, I mean, you're looking back at them now. Are you on the money? How would you grade the season on a scale? Some takeaways.
I'm going to be all honest. I had no understanding of what to expect. Because we didn't bring in a lot of League One talent. We brought in maybe a handful. And then we brought in like Don Smart and Owen Green, I think were the only ones who had previous. And then we brought in Cesar late, like right before the first game. So a lot of our guys, we had former Tucson players too with Charlie and Fox. But a lot of our roster was college players or like NISA players. I was like, I don't know really what to expect. And I was like, I don't know what to expect from this league. at all. And so I was going off of what other people were saying, and everyone was saying we were going to finish dead last, and we didn't. So that's a win to me, and we had some fun while doing it. I mean, we're the last team to beat Omaha in the regular season, so.
Best game of the season for you then?
Probably that 3-0 win over Omaha.
Yeah, that was, oh man. You guys showed up, and I don't know where Union Omaha was, but they were not present at that game.
All I'm
4-3
saying
versus
is
What's that?
the
That
4-3.
4-3?
Listen,
Yeah.
the only reason I don't pick that game is because it wasn't in person. If I was
Okay.
in person, most definitely that thing. The fact that I was there and stuff and got to experience it, much better. That still remains as our only road win, so it was a very big deal. I am sure you guys hated the fact that we're bringing Ates back, since he's scored
that man
technically
cooks.
7 goals on you if you count his like
Half his tally.
disallowed ones.
Yep.
Man, it's like half his tally, man. He cooked us, and that would probably be my most disappointing game I went to this season. You know, for me, because we were up 3-1, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 we're down, we lose. I'm like, this is like our fourth. I don't even know how many games in a row. Which game that was of the 4-game lose?
Definitely thought that was the game to turn it around. And it just kept going. I think we lost another one after that. But what, Nick, I'll ask you, what was your favorite game of the season then? In person or not in person?
Dude, I think maybe probably like the first. I can't even remember who we played. Let me check. The first game last season at home, just because I finally was happy to be.
Fuego?
Oh yeah,
Fuego
I think it
4-1?
was
Yeah.
4-1. Like that was probably one of my favorite games this season. We smoked in this like league manufactured rivalry versus Fuego, like fire and ice. Like they're not really a rival to us. Maybe we'll say that this year with Jermaine Jones, but like right now, I'm not gonna really say that. And
Hoping that Jermaine Jones does bring more Colorado Rapids fans up to Windsor to watch the match. I know he's coaching another team, but just getting the involvement in the footy in Windsor, it's a win-win. That match was exciting, but not the second half. That second half was
and then
pretty boring.
I think my other favorite match was probably the first playoff game that we ever played, just because we were just like, if you're in any other league in the world, Hailstorm makes playoffs last year, but like this win total stuff first, like most wins is the only reason we fell short. We had better goals for, better goals against, better goal difference with all that. But they had one more win, but we had 2 more ties or something silly like that, and we didn't make it because of semantics, technicalities. So I think being in that first playoff game and then watching Trevor, a player I used to grow up playing with, against a kid I hated playing against. I'll tell you what, I hated playing against that kid, and now loved watching him score. So watching him score that hat trick, that's like a super proud Colorado moment. And finally, we were in the playoffs. Yeah, those were my 2 favorite. I think both 4-1.
I loved it when you posted that photo of the soccer ball with Trevor's signature on it.
Yeah, I have
Back
to
in the day.
That's way back in the day. We might have been like 7 years old, right there. I don't even remember. Now look at me and look at him.
Well, Rich, what was your favorite game of the season?
Oh man, I'd have to go late in the season. Probably the 4-1 win against Charlotte. It felt really good to see Union Omaha defeat a top level team like Charlotte by that much at home. It just, obviously they were holding that win streak intact, but it just gave you a new wave of confidence heading into the playoffs. And that all came crashing down in the first round of the playoffs when they played Charlotte again and they got knocked out by them. But yeah, that was a really fun night.
Yeah. Shoot.
Well, in some ways, I was going to say, in some ways, that motivates Charlotte. Losing 4-1, you kind of get to analyze your opponent, and I mean, it's just footy. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Funny, we've been there. Your team does a really good season. You get to the important game of the playoffs, and then you lose, expectations. But same with Hailstorm. I mean, losing to, champions North Carolina in the semis 3-1. I mean, it was heartbreaking, losing that big of a margin to another top team. So I know what it feels like to be on the short end of the stick on that Charlotte feeling. But for me, Nick, to answer your question, just the Charlotte, excuse me. For me, my favorite game is the home opener, excuse me, against Central Valley for I go the 4-1, or just a typical switchback Open Cup victory.
Oh yeah, I forget the Open Cup. I gotta, dude. That game was nuts this last year with the fans and the security and the. We're our
It's
group of like
it's not
five
it's
people that go out there in the supporters group. We cause mayhem when we're out there. We let the Switchbacks fans know we do not like you. We don't want to like you. You guys are our closest rival when it comes to USL. But yeah, I
I
guess
mean, it
those are
was
also
nice,
my
don't get me
favorites.
wrong, playing against the Rapids. Watching it was good. You were at the game. I was watching it on my iPad, but although the score didn't, reflect us winning, it's still nice to go ahead and get that experience against not only an MLS team, but it's the Colorado Rapids. So I think that
Score
was pretty
against them.
cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously, last year was better scoring against Salt Lake, the Rapids rivals, and then winning that game. But I think it's still pretty cool just against the Rapids, just watching that game, seeing a team that I cover weekly playing against another team that I cover weekly. So the first
Shoot.
unbiased game I had.
So I think we should move it on from 2023. Yeah, let's talk about USL League One Day One the other day. I know Lexington has had plenty for us to talk about. Milko they pressed send too early on Friday for their transactions and departures. Um, yeah, let's start off with John.
Yeah, so Lexington brought back 10 guys. They released 13, but we brought back Atez Diouf, Eric Chea Gonzalez, Tate Robertson, Khalid Balogun, Austin Causey, Amal Knight, Killian Fox, Pierre Manet, Kimball Jackson, and Nico Brown. So we bring back like our majority of our attacking core. We obviously bring back Diouf, who is third in goals scored. Tate Robertson, who is top 3 in assists. I can't remember if he was at 2 or not. And we basically we have a back line right now. Midfield is still kind of being figured out. We do still have one player up in the air, and that's Philip Delamini, whose status is still kind of unknown right now. I suspect they might be releasing him since he wasn't announced in today's press release after they kind of announced everybody. But yeah, some big names we let go of was Charlie Machel and Don Smart. Those are like the big 2 names that we kind of let go.
Okay. Yeah, your boy Tate, he finished 1 assist off the 3 league leaders that were all tied. So he was right up there, just 1 away. Super talented. I'm gonna be honest. I think if we're gonna do, I'm not gonna tonight, but if we're gonna do any preseason predictions, I think you guys finished higher than 9th at least. Like from last year, I think you guys kept a really strong core from what I
100%.
remember. Keeping track of Lexington this year. After you guys beat us 4-3, I wanted you guys to fail. But that was just me. No, but actually, I really want you guys to I want you and Knox to kind of knock on that playoff door next year. I want to kind of bully the new kids Spokane next year, or this upcoming year. So you guys are now not the new kids on the block, so I want to continue the bullying. But yeah, I think you guys kept such a strong core, and man, Diouf, that guy is
Yeah,
if not, I mean, I think we'll see it this year, but he's definitely got USL Championship quality.
He
And he's
was in the
developed.
championship.
Oh, he was. I'm not sure. I didn't know much about him.
He was with San Antonio, but he was like a bench player and didn't get much playing time prior to joining us.
Maybe how old is he roughly? You know.
I want to say 24.
So I think maybe it was just a step too early going
Sure.
to San Antonio. Just like for example, the defender of the year, Arthur Rogers, he didn't obviously play as well at
Oh, sorry, he's
Hartford.
23.
Oh
He
wow.
will be 20. He'll be 24 in March.
So it could have just been a step too soon.
Sure.
Like Arthur Rogers, for example, he was in the championship. I don't think he played as well. And then he came to Hailstorm, and he was arguably could have been player of the year in both seasons. He played at Hailstorm. And now, well, I guess I can announce it. I mean, now, but on social media, he announced that he will be leaving Hailstorm. No team announcement yet, but we do have confirmation that it will be in the USL Championship. I'm leaning toward. I'm nudging my shoulder toward Tulsa. So just keeping a little bit of track. I'm not positive, but I'm leaning toward Tulsa. But obviously, that is up. That it's just a rumor. I don't know anything. Blah blah blah. So yeah.
Well, I want to say I really like the core players that you guys kept back, and especially it's strong in the attack. I mean, bringing back Kimball Jackson and Fox, go ahead and actually probably solidify the defense more. If there's an approach from Lexington that's kind of like last year where they didn't bring in a lot of talent from the league and they looked outside the league, maybe not looking at, college players, NISA, USL League Two, taking more of an approach of players outside of the country. That's that's an option as well. We've seen some great talents coming to Hailstorm, like Bruno, who wasn't in USL League One, Billy King as well. Just some players that we really enjoyed that came from outside states playing USL League One.
Yeah, what I think players are other people aren't ready for is a full year of Jackson, as you said, and then Eric Chea Gonzalez, who really did well at the end of the year. They both really did. The thing is, Jackson is much more towards Tate as a defender and a wingback, where he can distribute, than he is anything. And Chea Gonzalez, like when we mixed our stuff up, our formation up, like when we first faced Omaha, that was like when he was just thrusted in. He had sparing playing time, and then we went, it was like a 3-back set, and he threw in the 22-year-old, and he like crushed it. So I think it's definitely going to be dangerous, especially with Coach Powell now in power in that attack.
That's what we're saying with Coach Powell. We imagine that you're gonna find some sneaky gems overseas.
Yeah.
Like that. Like we had Rob Cornwall, Norte,
Billy King, Bruno.
You know, just like solid players Bruno came from Nisa, of course. But like coming from overseas, like those guys, I think that's where your coach is. He's gonna have a positive effect to the team like that because he understands the game. He probably knows tons of different connections around Europe, wherever he was from. Or he's from Europe, correct? Like
he's coming from Nottingham, but he's coming from Inter Miami. He's been
around the block though.
Yeah, he's been in USL. He's coached basically at all professional levels in the USL. He was the San Antonio's first ever coach. Then he was with the Fort Lauderdale, and then he went to Inter Miami, where he was like the first assistant this past year.
Oh wow! So yeah, he's got a good pedigree around him.
Wasn't he also director of their academy too?
Yeah, he was like academy director and first assistant. So I never understand how that fully works when you give people like 3 or 4 different titles. But it sounds to me like, especially with how young Inter Miami was, that he was like, all right, focus on the kids.
Yeah.
The other coach like Tito Martinez, I think they have, is like, I'll focus on like Messi and everyone else. You make sure these like 19-year-olds we're playing are like okay.
Yeah.
So he knows how to handle first team experience, but at the same time, he has plenty of experience with developing youth. So that's perfect for Lexington.
And that's what Stockley was preaching all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if other teams have done this. I don't know if anyone knows, but we've seemed to be the team that wants to do everything. The USL does. And one of the first things they did when they announced the club was that they like merged two youth teams into the academy. Like they instantly launched the academy. So they're very much
That's nice.
big on having an academy and stuff.
Have you guys made any academy signings?
We had Luke Phillips.
Okay.
They released him, who was a 16-year-old keeper. Diallo Iracoza was in someone else that released. He was in the academy, and then they officially signed him to a pro contract. He didn't get that much playing time either. Those are the two like straight from the academy, but I know there's been a lot of other kids who have like done a lot of first team training.
That's good to hear, though, that two have already had the opportunity to make the jump. Maybe not play, but training every day with the first team squad. Finally signing that professional contract. It seems like when Lexington's added into that mix already, like you guys are trying to ingrain into that culture, that youth scene. Like we're a year older than you guys in terms of USL League One, but you guys are brand new, right? Was it just started that? Because I know
they
One Knocks
launched.
has history.
Yeah, no, they launched. The announcement came like late 2021.
Okay.
And that's when the academy launched. The academy just essentially rolls from right there because they had all the players and stuff. And then they didn't do nothing until our first game against Knox, besides like preseason matches against some colleges in Chattanooga.
Interesting, but it's still like launching right at the same time as you started. Like I think Hailstorm is playing catch up because we're now finally launching the academy 1 year later into our third season, while you guys went from day one. I just think you're gonna see the dividends a little earlier than we will when it comes to that. So I think, and then giving two kids the jump already, that you're sending a message to the community, no matter if they were released or not, that you're willing to give a chance to the local players.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you look a little into Lou City, they have Lexington High School's kids who they had brought in through their academy and stuff that are producing for them. Just because Lex didn't exist. Now Lex exists, and they can develop those kids. Like Lexington, one of our high schools has won 4 or 5 straight state championships in soccer. They get like 400 kids to try out every year.
Wow.
I've never heard of a school that fields a freshman soccer team. So,
I mean, I coach a freshman soccer team, but
I came from Michigan. Like, I grew up in Michigan, like heavily dense area. Like there was top things type thing. I never heard of a freshman team. We had varsity and JV, but there was never a freshman team. Like only football had freshmen.
That's fair. No, that makes more sense. I'm talking like we were probably one of the highest populated, not my school specifically, but we're the highest division that you can be for school population.
And you set the scoring record there in Colorado, right?
Me? No, I only myself for my high school. No, I set my high school record, but that I only scored 20. There's kids that just get like 30 every year. That just I can't keep up with them. But I got first team all state. We'll say that.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Sweet. And then wait, okay, Rich, give us a little bit of Omaha's transactions this year. There's a big name missing on the returnees list as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Union Omaha returned 9 players, a little bit of a good mix ranging from every single position group. You had our stalwart goalkeeper Rashid Nuhu returning, and then you move up into the defense. You have Marco Milanese, you have Luca Maschantonio, you have Anderson Holt, and then you go into the midfield. You have Dion Akoff, you have Pedro Dolabella, Lagos Kunga, and then you get into the forwards. You have Joe Gallardo, Steven Dos Santos. So a good group
I'd
of
say
guys
an
that are
A plus,
returning.
like an A for my grade for returning players.
Yeah,
Like in my opinion, like I think that's like your core. That's like your six. Like not saying like, but that's a huge like core of the success that Omaha had last year. I mean,
yeah,
like we were saying, one name missing, but a
yeah.
couple
We
that you
did.
could probably bring out.
Yeah, we're still, JP Scarce. He left the club. We're still waiting on Connor Doyle, but it from what it sounds like he's leaning toward retiring. But we'll see if he has one more year left in him. I'm assuming the big name you guys are alluding to is Noe Meza.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
Rico doesn't even know.
Really, Rico?
Noe Meza is not on the list of
Yeah.
no,
returning.
I
I'm
would
I'm I'm
say
I'm looking at it right now.
I would say Mesa and Louis Gill.
That's what I
Yeah,
was thinking. The
Yeah.
both of them, both of
Those
them.
two.
So
Yeah,
Luis Heel,
no,
he hasn't been announced. Hopefully they do bring him back and sign him on for another season, because
yeah,
not only is he a spectacular player, he does great things for the community. He has roots
yeah.
in Omaha. He has his wife and his kid with him in Omaha. So he has those roots. Hopefully they grow a little deeper into the area again this season. We'd love to have him back for another season. He was a great producer. But with the players that were announced, that's like you guys have alluded to, this is a good core group of players to have return from last season. They're going to be very productive again, coming into the 24 season, and it's going to be exciting to see what they do.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just gonna. It raises some eyebrows as to why there is the delay in bringing the quality of these players for depth. Let's just say if there's league play, U.S. Open Cup, and then rumors of a third competition. So you'd think you'd want to go ahead, given the injuries and the stretch of the year, bring in talent, add to depth. But again, it's pretty early in the season, so hopefully those are two names that will go ahead and be re-signed to Omaha, despite having already a solid core, Rich. But if not for Lewis, I know a great place he can come to that will kind of remind him of Omaha. We'll have better beer over here. He can go skiing if he wants.
No, but in general, it was solid, and we don't even. To be fair, all this is all we just know so far.
Yeah,
There's players discussing contracts with the teams
of
Yeah.
course.
currently. For
They've
what we
got some
know,
time still, right?
for what we know, if you watched our podcast with Eamon, I believe we're retaining 10 players that we know of. 3 are in contract discussions, and the rest are not sure if they're leaving, but it's a players market when you're in the Division 3 level, so players they're gonna try to go for their championship options first, hear those out before they probably discuss with League One, which they have every right to. I don't blame them if they do. Um, but yeah, so we're still like hopefully Noe Meza. You said you saw him on Instagram somewhere.
Yeah. So his Instagram had him training with some buddies and doing some rock climbing and some hiking in the Phoenix area. So
Might be just having fun.
yeah, I'm gonna go with that, because I don't want to see him go to Phoenix Rising or New Mexico United or anything like that. As much as I want him to succeed in his career, at the same time I don't want him to leave Union Omaha. So yeah, I'm gonna go with he's having a great vacation at the moment and not doing any scouting or tryouts or anything.
Absolutely, he's quite the player. With that I even cheered with that bike last year on us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Did that end up winning goal of the year?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't even know who won goal of the
Wasn't
year.
it in contention? I thought it was either one or one of the top three. Hmm.
That's a
Not.
good question. Let me take a look.
I just remember seeing it and being like, I'm not retweeting that, but I like it. Such a good.
Yeah, but other than the Hailstorm, we only had 2 announcements on USL League One day. It
Yeah.
was we're retaining Edward Lalo Delgado at our goalkeeper position. He was arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the league last year. I think he tied the clean sheet record as a goalkeeper or set it. I can't remember exactly what. It was one or the other. And then Bruno Rendon, another season at Hailstorm. And then from what we know, based on 2-year contracts, we have Breck Evans returning.
Mhm.
We would have Irvin Parr returning.
Mhm.
And we would have McCain Clark, I believe, returning as our 3.
Yep.
Parra sent a cryptic kind of tweet the other day saying, "Thanks for
Of course.
everything. Goodbye." I love Parra, but he's the king of cryptic tweets. I'm always trying to decipher what he actually means. I think he joined a Call of Duty team in Germany, and I was like, did this man leave the States? I was like, man. But nah, always the best of Parra if he is leaving, and if he's staying, he's gonna score the Golden Boot. That's all I believe in. But yeah, that's all I know so far. Then official Trevor Amon is leaving. Or Trevor Ammon, wherever he likes to go by. 27 goals in all competitions last year. I do not know how Hailstorm's gonna replace that.
Yeah, that's tough. I just want to throw this in there. I love the fact that the very last goal of the regular season was Irvin Parra's first goal of the season. Like what a storybook perfect ending to the regular season to have Irvin Parra score that goal. That was amazing.
It was incredible. Yeah, he's gone through what no one should have. Yeah, it's just great to see. He had I think a goal and assist this year in his obviously limited minutes for what he went through. But yeah, he still played well. So hopefully we see Irvin Parra in the blue and white next year at Hailstorm. We'll have to wait.
I want to say that I thought it was really nice that the club's, first re-signed inbound returnee that they announced was Lalo on the USL League One day one, just because I just think it set the tone. When we had Coach Iman on the podcast, he strongly believed that we have the best goalkeeper in the league, and what he brings to the team just raises it to a new level from his presence in the back and just his shot stopping ability. So, compared to some of the other like goalkeepers in the leagues like Shipman, Pack, Rashid. The level of goalkeeping in the league is already high as it already is. So I think it just sent out a statement right away that we're going to want to be strong for another year, and we're doing it from starting in the back, and which is kind of cool. I hope that's actually the plan, because at the end of if our last big signing name or the big unravel is going to be who that number 9 is to replace Trevor, that'll be really exciting, because again, where are we going to get these 20 plus goals? And we're losing our top provider as well. So it's going to be an interesting upcoming season for us. It's way too early to have these predictions. But as we get closer, hopefully Hailstorm, unlike last year, don't be not as sporadic with their announcements of player returnees. Hopefully it'll be more consistent, couple of week, once a week. I think last year we went through a whole month with just one player, and then it came January and we had just like 2 more additions, and then February it started picking up. So it just took a while, but I think we have some insight on what Coach Amon wants to go ahead and have for his upcoming season and what players he's looking at. So it'll look good. I think it looks good, starting with Lalo Delgado in the back.
And Bruno Rendon. I think he made USL all second team. So
Yeah.
Solid player. Had a great season last year, and I think he only can improve. He had nine goals and assists in the league last year. Maybe it was 8, and won an Open Cup, but I don't know. I haven't deciphered my stats that deep.
And I say that the level of goalkeeping is really high in the league, because if you look at the players that are scoring for some of these teams, you had Omaha had Dos Santos, who made the second team. Trevor Amon, he's gone now. I had a list here.
Alex Anderson, he's gone.
Christian Cheney, he gets the goals for Forward Madison here.
Is that a shock one to you
Castro.
guys? Christian Cheney? Was that a shock to you guys, Christian Cheney? He's back at Madison, correct?
That was
Yeah,
a
I
little
didn't.
bit of a shock because he like posted something cryptic of like goodbye or whatever to
Posted like
Madison.
a farewell. I
Yeah.
swear
Yeah,
to
at the end
God,
of
he
the
posted
season.
like I'm dipping, and I was like, "Best of luck, Christian. Like you're gonna ball wherever you go." And then all of a sudden, he's signing with them again, and man, he's a good
I
player. And
I
He pulled
think
an Irvin Para.
I think he tested the waters or Madison threw the bank at him.
I'm
One of the
hoping the
two.
second. We want to see
Or
our
both.
ballers thrive.
Could be both.
Yeah,
Could be both.
could be both. You're right. Is there any other? Have we gone through all our teams? Is there any other teams like that have surprised you with their signings so far this year, or any retaining? It could be about our teams as well that you're like, oh man, that's
I
crazy.
I think for a part, Richmond will surprise some people.
Hmm.
How many people they're bringing back? However, they're only really bringing back two. Everyone else is on multi-year deals. So I don't know necessarily how USL contracts work. If you cut a guy, do you have to pay him that money or not? So yeah, but that it's going to be interesting because they're bringing back. Let me count this real quick. They're bringing back 12 guys, which
Mhm.
doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room to improve on from that very forgettable second half they want to have
Yeah,
from last year
that
because you
was.
only get 26 players.
They were so solid the first half. I don't know where it went.
Well,
Or I mean, first half, first
them and
quarter,
Omaha
third.
just flipped. Them and Omaha
Yeah.
just flipped because like
Yeah.
Omaha was like kind of doing okay, but they were like hanging in. I want to say y'all were like hanging around 6th, 7th area, and then y'all like took off. And then the same with Richmond. They were hanging around. I think at one point they were second in the standings, like a month or so in, and then they just like they couldn't buy a win to save their life.
Yeah.
No,
For another
man.
team that I was impressed with their signings, Ford Madison. They brought back
Mhm.
a core group of
Yeah.
8 players, and the players that they brought back are solid players. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're Ford Madison, you got to bring back
Mhm.
Burn Shipman.
100%.
Absolutely.
And like we've already mentioned with Christian Chaney, and then shoring up their defense with Timmy Mel and Jake Krull, and
Cool.
we're still waiting to hear about Cello, but it'd be nice to see him playing in their midfield there again too. But I mean, Ford Madison had some good signings on League One Day One as well.
No. I
I
think
think yeah, Madison's a big deal because by like ELO, according to like USL show guys, they were like one of the worst teams ever, but they still made the playoffs even though they got bounced thanks to Trevor Amon. But I think they're going to be an interesting case because they're bringing back that solid good core. It's how are they going to improve on that and go from there with that?
absolutely. I think an interesting team I'm interested in is Tormenta.
Nice.
Looking at their
Blew it up after
who-
1 year.
Oof. Yeah.
look at
They went,
if
all
you,
right,
if
let's
you guys
run
just
it
peek
back,
them,
and they
it
choked.
looks like they've brought back quite a few great players. Jackson Corey was the young player of the year.
Yep.
Preston Kilwin's good. Pedro Fonseca solid.
Yep.
But there's a certain name that's not returning that is kind of concerning if I'm Tormenta.
Makwele Akale,
I think it's Sterling.
I was
Paulo
about to
Hara.
say which one they got?
Yeah,
They got like
exactly.
Oh, yeah,
3
they
or
got 'em.
4 guys
You're right. They're
that
all
either
God.
are either solid depth pickups or solid starters for some teams.
Yeah.
I've heard Kazai Sterling is trying out a different league.
Toby Otieno, John Murphy Jr. I mean, going
This
down
team
that
might-
list, there's some solid players on that list who are going to get picked up in no time. But it was really interesting to see Tormenta make that decision. You would think after having the players who helped win the cup just a couple years ago,
Hmm.
they would have faith despite a down year, but they're looking to, like John said, they're just pushing the reset button.
I think it's because they realized that 2022 was more of a fluke than it was like the squad, because they got there they barely got in, and they got lucky, which is the thing with like Omaha. It's going to be hard, and I think what Charlotte needs to think about this too is there's luck involved in soccer, and so when you
Mhm.
have these stretches where you're really good and stuff, don't let that overshadow the whole thing. And I think that's what Tormenta did. They let that championship overshadow some needs
Yeah.
or type thing. Like, oh, let's just run the chemistry, and then the chemistry
It's
y'all
further
got
back.
figured out.
But I think their
Absolutely.
coach Ian Cameron has a good head on his shoulders, and he knows what players he's going to bring in, and he knows what style he wants to play. If you look at the French player that they signed when they announced on League One Day One, if you watch his film, his presence under pressure is incredible. The way that he was able to maneuver around not only one defender but two defenders at times, and even split them when it looks like he was in a corner. So having a player like him to provide the foundation for future signings, sheds a good light into what Tormenta has coming ahead of them in the 24 season. And we're sitting here talking about what they're missing, but we could be talking about what they have coming ahead here in just a
Mhm.
bit, because Ian Cameron seems to know what he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, I
Rico,
want to
you
add
got
on
any
to
transfers?
I want to add on to what you said, Rich, here on the talented players that the team did let go, and I want to give flowers to maybe a team that gets overlooked at a lot in the league, Fuego FC, and
Mm.
this upcoming season with the appointment of Jermaine Jones. I want to say right off the bat, and I know it's early. I don't know what to expect. I don't know if we're going to see you know, Jermaine Jones, with obviously the experience he has at the playing level in the leagues that he has played, just how that transitions to this division in USL League One, the types of players he can bring in. When I look at this list of players that are leaving Tormenta, I think this is an opportunity to bring some of those experienced players onto that team that could go ahead and help the team have a better season than they did last season. Because right now I don't know what to expect, whether he builds a team that's not better than last year or a team that's a little bit relatively better than last year. But it really could help if the team, Jermaine Jones and that front office is looking at some of these players like Sterling. You mentioned John Murphy Jr. Those are two quality players that can go ahead and come on the team, not necessarily saying build around the team, but if you put them in that position where you have some of Jermaine Jones guys that he wants to implement, it could
Hmm.
go ahead and elevate their skills. And so it'll be interesting. Again, they don't get a lot of flowers, I feel like, and so I'm not giving them too much, but I'm giving them maybe a rose to let them know, hey, I'm keeping my eye on you. I want to see where
Well,
you're at.
No,
it's
no, I want to jump in, Rico, on you real quick. I think Sterling might be making he's gonna have a 2 at the back on his team name for this next season. I think I think that's the jump he's making. If I'm not, that's what I've heard. That's what I've been rumored to. But I heard Sterling might be making the MLS Next Pro jump
Oh, I gotcha.
alongside a couple. We're gonna always be seeing that from the USL League One
You, s-
as long as that is around. Um,
you know the team? Can we take a
couple of the
guess?
quality players. I don't know the team. I do not know
San
the
Jose
team.
Earthquakes too. Is that a good guess?
I've heard. I don't know. I'm gonna throw one more name in there. I think Ozzy Ramos.
Oh yeah.
I think those are the two names I've heard might be the MLS Next Pro jump. So if you want to see like some big names out of the league, that's always going to be a factor. That third division. I don't keep Nisa in consideration because they don't pay the refs until they do that. No, but until they do that, I can't like take them seriously. They're going to lose their sanctioning. Like
Yeah.
players are, I know
well,
quality players from all over that they hit me up because they think somehow I'm going to get them on Hailstorm. I don't know if I'm gonna get you on Hailstorm. I'm gonna give you the best information to try to make Hailstorm
yeah,
if you're a player. But I'm not an agent. I'm not this. I pod with the coach sometimes.
I
We
will
we
say
we we joke about soccer.
I will say that's the funniest thing I've noticed in some of Lexington's posts are these random people commenting of like, I'm a 19-year-old, whatever, let me try out type thing. I was like, that's not, if you're wanting to get the club's attention, commenting on their socials is not how you
It's
do
not it. I try to tell them like the better just avenues to not do that because you're just annoying at that point. Like they want people, I don't know if they even care at that point. They might just want
Check out my football manager profile. That's all you need right there.
Oh, dude. But what are we even saying at this point? We were talking about
But as far as Central Valley, I said it earlier this week, but I think that, in my opinion, one of Fuego's strengths last season was their midfield. So by having Coach Jones come in, who was a prolific defensive midfielder in his own right, is going to pay huge dividends for that team because he's going to make that midfield even better. And I think he's going to bring a style to League One that we haven't quite seen yet.
yeah.
He obviously has his European connections.
Right.
This is his first foray into the coaching scene. He has never been a head coach. And so, this could be one of those moments where we see Coach Jones, putting his team out there on the field, and we're looking at it thinking, wow, this is not a typical League One, type of performance.
Not Fuego.
Yeah.
Especially not a Fuego performance.
Yeah.
Well, I think Fuego gets overlooked a lot because of their coaching instability they had. I feel like every coach they brought in was not like keeping the same status quo. They're like trying to like completely reinvent the wheel each time they came in. And I think that messed them up a lot. But I also, from what I know, Fuego apparently got deep pockets. Like they're under no threat of ever like having to go anywhere. And Jones has coached before. I think he was like an assistant with Amsterdam or something like that. And
Yeah,
he left because there was something going on with the managers, or him and the front office didn't agree much. So I think if Fuego is very much understanding that, I was like, who do you want? We'll sign them. We'll pay them whatever we need to bring them in, I think is what we need to be worried about.
I have a feeling that if it's going off what you're saying, that they got some deep pockets. They're probably giving Jermaine Jones the wheel to do whatever he wants. Can I? What is Fuego? Let me check Fuego's.
Well, I was gonna say I hope Jermaine Jones kind of takes a little bit of a personal approach and looks at these dual nat kids.
Interesting. Four people only we know about. We only know about four.
Some of these dual national kids.
Yeah, Fuego also is losing, I think, someone that could be very valuable for someone to pick up, and that's Max's Eek, or Eck, however you say his name.
Yeah, he came in last season, and I think he'll return to the league pavilion, Bijem. But yeah, that guy came in. I don't know when he hopped in, but he was so Fuego.
He hopped in against Lexington and scored on us
when
we were a man up.
It's funny you mentioned that they might have deep pockets because when we were just talking about USL League One in one of our previous podcasts, Nick's and I, Coach mentioned, some teams, they're just happy to be here. That's it. They're not looking to compete. They're just happy to be here. And so I'm not sure exactly who he was referring to, but if it's all, if making multiple coaching changes and then having the deep pockets to go ahead and back up Jermaine Jones, at least they can escape that allegation that I have on them. They're just there.
I don't know if it's super deep. I just know I think I heard the guys from one of the guys from Fuego Pod saying like there's no threat of us like closing,
folding,
like type thing. So I don't know if it's super deep, but they at least like can like have low attendance and be okay.
I think it's been. I think Fuego, from what I know about them, they've had the same owners for a while. They rebrand, change it all.
Yeah, they've had a rebrand a few times.
They just keep rebranding throughout the years to keep their. So I think it's been like the same owners for a while though. I honestly liked the last coach that they had. I just don't think he was invested in the team because I from what I know, he's he kind of reminds me of a coach I had growing up. He's too involved with other people's lives. Like he helps kids get to college. He's connecting calls and calls. Like he's that kind of guy that Fuego
Are you talking
had.
about
And
Vasquez?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know Vasquez is super connected with the community, and I think he wasn't like, I'm not saying he wasn't invested in coaching. I knew he was. He was trying his best, but I know he's a busy guy. Like in general, just a very busy guy. So I wonder if
Yeah.
it just wasn't the right. I thought they played well. After they fired him, low key, like the moment, like, because I think we were the team to get the coach sacked. I mean, it was obviously in the books before, but I think it was our 4-1 result. Rico, I think that was the final game.
Yeah, I got the last picture of him.
You got the laugh. I just
like
thought he was okay, but I honestly I think my wooden spoon I was gonna go. I didn't think I had them at wooden spoon. I thought they played so well, and if you guys like keep Fuego's schedule, they're a one goal loss team last year, and maybe that's something that you could really can improve on. If you look at all their scores, it's 2-1, 2-1, 5-4. Oh, they won that
Yeah.
one. All right. You know,
The amount of
they
one
battle in every
goal
game,
losses
and
they had was insane.
I
Yeah.
think that's a team you can work with, a culture you can work with. It wasn't like it was just an unfortunate year. Like I saw that team and didn't see them as the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I low
I agree.
key, I was kind of thinking One Knox might be the worst team in the league. Getting
See,
a
I had
little.
Chattanooga.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Chattanooga was a great shout. I think you're right. Chattanooga. They
Yeah.
also really haven't had a great.
But they had that late
general,
season surge after they changed their coach too.
Yeah.
I think in general, it's to be remembered. There wasn't that many blowouts, especially when you got halfway. Like at the start, NoCo was like destroying people
Oh yeah.
and stuff, but there wasn't towards. Stop. 1 second. My cat's trying.
Oh, I got cat problems. Don't worry. Rico knows. He hears it every day.
Anyways, that like to Fuego's point, they were losing by one or so games. Like even Richmond during their bad stretch, they're still drawing a lot. Of like, I think the difference in this league is not as wide as the points show, especially by like the ELO ratings that the USL show guys put out. We had 3 of the best teams ever in the league, like history this year.
3 of the 4.
So like,
yeah, they got North Texas as the only other top 4 team in that whole category.
so I think that threw some disparity into that people's thought. I think the league is a lot more tight than it was. Now we'll see what Spokane does. Spokane could walk in and just actually be really bad, or they could
talk about
stay
Their
the
first
status
ever
quo.
president gave me this scarf, this USLW scarf.
Hey, nice.
It's hard to get a league scarf in this league, like in this.
Yeah, it is.
I was like, wow. Because I was like, your team's really cool. Can I have a scarf? And they're like, cool. Boom. You should ask Rico. I DM all the big teams. I'm like, just follow us back this year. Just
So their women's team name is a bit interesting.
What was it? Zephyr?
Yeah.
Zephra.
Zephyra? How do you? I don't.
And even Velocity was a bit of a quizzical choice too.
No,
It's
that
not
is
really. To me,
they are
it's
the
not
Monster Energies.
Exactly. Yeah. See.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not very brandable, but if they go as like they should do like they should do their own, find like a local track in the area, the soccer flash. You know what I mean? Run around the whole field and beat that, or like run around. They get the full length head start and see the fastest kid in the area can beat them, like the soccer flash velocity, something like that. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about? The flash.
Yeah.
What's it called?
With
It's not even called the flash.
The freeze.
The freeze, where he runs the baseball diamond and people have to they get a head start, but he beats them.
Yeah,
they should do something like that.
I recall Spokane Velocity's like little intro video of their name, and I was like, it was leading up to something I thought like river related and whatever, like water related, and then they're like velocity. I was like, that doesn't even make sense to what you were just doing for 2 minutes straight.
Yeah, so a friend of mine told me that the nickname for Spokane is the Lilac City, and so I thought if they were to name the
Lilac
club
City.
Lilac City FC or something like that,
Yeah, the flowers.
like that would be freaking awesome.
Well, that Dan Creel like pulled up their old history. They used to have a women's team called like the Black Widows and all this type stuff. But
Oh man,
they go with
Dan's
DEFRA.
got everything you need for
Yeah, he does.
U.S. soccer history. I'm trying to get in this database because I have you guys don't even know. I got the hailstorm stats. You don't even want to see my my normal stats for just soccer in general. They're bad. My girlfriend's like, what do you do all day? I'm like, this is not it. I promise. But right now I have a whole document where I try to get with Dan Creel. I'm like, I have a whole document where I have every player to ever play professional soccer in a spreadsheet, and I got like just thousands of players with like all alphabetical.
She knows that she never has to worry about you cheating on her because you always have a spreadsheet open.
She doesn't. She doesn't. I'll never cheat on her because I got Liverpool and I got NoCo Hailstorm. I'm in the house watching soccer all day. But yes.
Well, Rich and John, I know you guys wanted to touch on this question that was asked on your show earlier. The week didn't get to it. Will Spokane be late to the party, just like Lexington last year, except I spelled that wrong, or not?
But to answer the question, yes, I do think they'll be late to the party this year. They just had their tryouts recently. I think they have another one coming up here in just a bit, maybe a little over a week away, I think, if I remember right. But yeah, I think they're going to be late to the party. They just had their tryouts. They haven't announced any signings. We haven't even heard any rumors about players going to Spokane. So whatever is going to happen, I don't think it's going to happen all at once. I think it's going to be sort of like Lexington last year, where it's just sort of like a trickle of players being announced.
Was Lexington's first player Fox last season?
Yes.
Right. So
Fox was our first signing, and it just kind of rolled from there. From League One updaters thing, he has a note on them that it's not expected till late December at the earliest for them. And if they even get early, like Knoxville did a bit, they didn't announce stuff till December like 12th or whatever. So that's still like next week.
I feel like to what we were saying earlier, like this hasn't really the off season that really hasn't been an off season. Like I think their league's trying to push like these early announcements like now because from what I know, from what I remember, Hailstorm didn't post all the players leaving till because I don't think I remember USL League One day last year because I don't think we even participated from what I remember.
We just released like those 12 players randomly.
No, but and what date was I swear it was late December.
It was it was December.
It was like mid-December, yeah.
We only had one signing in December and going into January, and we were like, "That's
League One Day One last year was a big event because they just released every single club, every single name all at once. It didn't trickle the way it did this year, but it was a lot more exciting this year to see each wave of announcements.
And I wanna real quick, Nick, before you can go back to you're saying, just want to show everyone the USL League One 2024 transaction tracker that
Oh yeah, I got a quick shout out to Alex Ashton who keeps track of the USL League One updater. Just if you want to look him up, it's League One updater on Twitter. It will have a number on Twitter, so league, then the number numerical 1, and then updater, spell it out, and then on Google, just League One updater, spell it out. Yeah, he's one of the best sources that having a solidified place where you can just see all the transactions of every team. He will be joining us eventually. We will be doing this every first Wednesday of every month, just because we're all busy and a lot of things change in a month that we can talk about. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
of course. But let's switch it up. We've been talking about transfers, but there's been a little sneaky thing going on that somebody accidentally pressed, the nuclear launch. You remember that thing in Hawaii a long time, like
Oh,
all those years
God.
back, where they sent the fake warning, when they sent the
Yep.
fake warning of the launch coming.
Yep.
Well, the League One Cup is coming. Okay, the League One Cup
Dun, dun,
is coming.
dun.
Someone accidentally sent it to all the fans, a part of, what was it, the supporters group?
No, it was Union Omaha.
It
The
was
front
just in
office
general.
accidentally sent that email out.
Just to everyone in general, or was it to like
Yeah.
a specific? Oh man! So
Everyone on the
there is
mailing
gonna
list.
be a League One Cup coming up, and obviously, I was pretty negative on Twitter about it, but now I'm kind of like, let's just see where it goes. I don't think it's gonna last forever. Let's just see where it goes. Let's get some people. Let's get some a little more games out here. The only thing that's kind of concerning to me is I have seen the Omaha League schedule, and I only see 22 home games, or 22 games in general on the schedule. So the only thing that I'm a little concerned about now is, are the teams gonna for sure play 10 plus games with this tournament? And I feel like the whole idea should be to play the same regular season, add on a tournament to play a little more games in your season now. I get travel is tough, but that's why they try to. It's rumored that this tournament's gonna be regional. But what do you guys think? Let's go off.
I mean, there's 12 teams, USL League One, 4 groups of 3. Top goes. That's
Three
four
groups of
four
four. I
teams.
think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be three groups
No,
of 4.
that that would make I don't. It would seem logical to me. 4 groups of 3, and then the top would go, which you would give you a semifinal, and then you would get a final. I don't know the structure, but it would seem that in the group of 3, it's like League Cup that MLS saw. You get home game and you get an away game, and then the top team will go ahead and get the fourth. Now, if they do top 2, you get 8 teams, and then a semi, and then the final. But going off, Nick, on my initial thoughts, I didn't have any initial thoughts if I would either like it or not. I just kind of wanted to see what it would be like. I think I just want to see A, what the structure is, B, when it would be, and then C, how serious our teams are going to take it. If this is going to be
Well,
during,
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
supposedly there's a big pot involved. Like there's like a big cash prize involved in it.
Ooh, okay. I like
Yeah.
that. As you saw, the NBA in-season tournament got real spicy the moment it hit knockout rounds last
Yep.
night.
And I think that's
It
where
actually
we're
got
gonna.
fun.
I think that's what's gonna be kind of how it is. The little group stages might depend on how it's done, type of thing. Also depends on it's kind of. I feel it as like any European competition, any type group stage. If you kind of solidify yourself at the top of the group and you're kind of good, those other games you're gonna be like in
Of course.
until you get to the knockouts. But I think with this
Mhm.
cash prize that they're rumored, whatever it is, I don't know how much it is, but I was thinking like if even each club does like
Substantial, I bet.
Yeah.
if each club does like 100,000, that's like that's a $1.2
$2
million
million
pot.
prize. Woo.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just at 100,000.
I'd even take
If
a
they did like a
500,000 pot. That's a
For
big
every
pot
club to
that's a League One club pot.
for every club to donate $100,000 on the shoestring budgets that they're already operating on, ooh, that's a huge gamble. So they would have to take it seriously.
Maybe it could
I
come
think the
from
that's the thing I
CBS is
don't
going to
know.
come into matter.
I was
I
gonna say
think that's where
CBS and
CBS is going to come into.
the new sports apparel. I think
Yeah.
these new sponsors that are coming into the league could
Charlie, is
help.
that what they're called?
Yeah.
Charlie and then
Charlie.
CBS. I think they're probably going to pump money into these new competitions to try to promote them onto these
Yeah.
channels. That's what my prediction.
That could be outside of playoffs. The only way that USL League One gets on CBS.
That's true.
The biggest
there's
thing
going to
that
be 100 games total of USL.
Yeah, but
broadcasted on
us
Paramount.
being the lower league, I
Of
don't
course,
see League One getting on anything but playoffs. right now.
Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe
I
a
wasn't-
handful of games here and there.
The biggest thing
just
that I
'cause
have
don't
with
know
the
I don't know our TV markets. To be fair,
the League One Cup, if you so we've seen the Union Omaha schedule. We know which matchups they have. They have a home and away with Central Valley Fuego, Spokane Velocity, and Northern Colorado Hailstorm. But then they also have additional matches against Ford Madison and Chattanooga Red Wolves. I've never heard of a group play where you play home and away against every single club in your group, but then you also sprinkle in a couple others from other groups. It's just so weird.
so if you're going off that, if you're going off those teams that you're discussing, it's probably difficult to have I don't know the math, but to have a 4-team group, and then there's probably a lot of tiebreakers, so they probably threw in 2 extra matches, or they want to make those additional. Because how much is that? That's 10 games. That's the gap.
Yeah.
In the league that we're looking at.
So if you
I'm
have,
not sure.
if
Because
you
what
have,
I was thinking was going to be a regional group from I'm a Hailstorm fan. Spokane, Fuego, Omaha, us.
Yeah.
Like that's all I can think of. John, you probably got. Let me guess. Madison, Knoxville, you, Tormenta. Would that be your?
No, if
four?
I had to
Okay, I don't
throw
know.
in, you're throwing in Lex,
Knoxville and
Chattanooga,
Madison.
and Knox.
I'm going
Probably
Madison.
Madison. I would
Yeah.
say you throw in Madison
yeah, that's that 4.
in
Okay,
that 4, and
perfect.
then you have Tormenta, Greenville,
Oh yeah,
Charlotte, Richmond.
you're right. Chattanooga flipped Tormenta. What I had.
So if you
Yeah,
have
and that would
three
be
group-
all. That would be the 3 groups.
if you have 3 groups of 4 and you take the top 2 from each group,
That is
that's going to give you 6 teams. If you
So that's
pair
where I
2 of
think
them up
yeah.
to play the each other, and the winner of that one goes into your semifinal for the next round.
I don't like that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest. I don't like that setup. You only get 2 top seeds, diminishing the value of one of the third group,
Ooh.
and at the same time, I think there's no difference in the playoff structure that USL League One has.
But
I have a
that
sneaky
could
feeling there's
be-
no groups, or there's only 2 groups, and you're just gonna do a couple regionalized games. And there's probably gonna be like a top of 2.
I'm
That's
thinking
my
the
prediction.
extra games might be the group
Out of
winners
conference.
all get it, but then only the top 2 seeds, second one gets it, like a wild card.
Yeah.
Instead of the top 2, it's like those extra games are to decide who's the best second team.
Yeah.
And then they get the top, whatever the number 1 team out of the groups are,
Mhm.
and the other 2 face, and it's just straight semifinal, final.
Man, it seems
Okay,
so
so-
complex compared to just doing it like League Cup did for MLS.
So let me throw this question out to you guys. When it comes to League One Cup, you have your League One Cup where you have this substantial rumored
Prize pot.
yeah,
Mhm.
cash prize. When it comes to the Shield and it comes to the Cup, you get the record books, you get the historical, value of that kind of stuff. You get to, load up your your
Trophy
silverware
cabinet.
and all that kind of stuff. Would you rather get the star above your crest? Would you rather get the silverware, or would you rather get the money and set your club up for further success in the future?
Does that mean are we talking that winning the cup is more substantial than winning USL League One?
Well, there's no money that comes along with winning the Shield or the Cup.
Oh, I didn't know that personally. I just didn't know that if there was
Yeah.
no money. So I wonder. So here's what I heard.
should
It's
give
it
mid-season.
right-
I heard it's mid-season. You know what I mean? That's what I'm
With
thinking.
the
But not mid-season, but early season. John, actually, you go first, John. Then maybe I can.
I'm thinking right now is because the Shields are already kind of this way. They're the lesser trophy. Yeah, the fan base that wins them loves to tout them, but really, in the end, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, in Americanized sports,
Like,
North
so
Carolina
I think,
won it all.
yeah, I think right now with the League Cup prize, it goes, for me, it goes winning the League Cup, Shield. So if I'm in like 4th or 5th or even 3rd, I might not go, all right, let's focus on the League Cup. We're kind of comfortable in the playoffs, but let's focus on that, win that, and then let's just try to stay in the playoffs versus like try to push for the Shield.
I agree, because the only money that you can make if you win the cup is through all the merchandise that you sell that has that extra star above your
And those
shield
extra
and
games
the
and stuff.
champions across the front. But if you win the shield, there's no merchandise that you can sell to highlight that, because if you have any casual fans, they don't know what the shield means. They don't know the significance of it. And number two, it doesn't carry the same weight as the cup. So
Mhm.
if you take your focus off of the shield and start aiming for the League One Cup versus the League One Champion Cup, or the Players Cup, I think is what they call it now. All of a sudden you see this huge disparity in goals and
Mhm.
um, aims for every club across the league.
I'm just probably gonna throw this in here real quick. I'm not a big fan of the Shield. Just in general, I think the MLS Shield is a joke. There's no balanced schedule in the MLS to have like a true meaning to having a Shield, because a team could play a team of lesser quality twice versus a team of greater quality twice in the MLS, for example. So I think we should somehow, if the USL is going to be all talk about promotion relegation, I think we might shift to a point standard. I'm not sure. I mean, you can do it with playoffs. You certainly could do it with playoffs. I just don't think you're going to end up with the outcome of the best teams getting to the next league. You might just get the teams that are in form. But I'm not sure. But like, I kind of want to rid the Shield. The Shield doesn't really like. Yes, you won like the to me, like football, you won the AFC trophy, or
Yeah,
is there
you
just
get a
you get the
trophy.
Well,
number one? You
There
get one.
there is a trophy. It's that you get a trophy for being the conference champion. It
yeah,
exists
but not
in
division.
all. It exists in all the leagues. Hockey has it. All of them have like
They
things
have
you
one
can
just for regular season.
Well, you have
not
your
not
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 regular
the
No,
season.
no, because that's what
not
I'm
being
going with. It could be the I
no.
mean,
There's
say if
no
you have a
regular
USL
season
champion,
trophy.
if you have a USL championship split, yeah, you have a Western Conference champion, an Eastern Conference champion. But I'm like, there's not really an importance in USL League One for me to have a shield, because it kind of just feels lesser. It's kind of just giving the purists of soccer kind of a little bit what they want.
Well,
They like they
and,
like the points.
Yeah.
Like you
and
may feel like more of a champion with the points.
that's why the MLS Shield exists. So when the MLS started, they didn't do it. That's why it's called the Supporters Shield, because like
Yeah.
Portland, Seattle, whatever,
The
their
purest
fans
one.
like pooled money and bought the first shield and like created the first shield to award to the actual best team at the regular season. Like the Supporters Shield is all fan made. That's why it's called the Supporters Shield. And the USL just kind of borrowed that from the MLS.
Agreed. I
And
mean,
while
when
we
you have a
may be
closed system, that's all you can
and
do.
while we may be having our own thoughts about what is going to happen with the League Cup and everything, the biggest gift that we can thank for the presence of the League One Cup is the fact that because of it, now we have round robin play for the regular season. We have 12 teams. Every single team gets 11 home and 11 away regular season matches.
Oh yeah, I did see that on Twitter. I think that's like the big point, because by 2025, there's a rumored 5 more teams joining the league.
Yeah.
If Santa
Yeah.
Barbara Sky can get their head out
Santa
of
Barbara,
whatever.
Brooklyn, Texarkoma, Antelope Valley, and
Brooklyn.
Portland.
Oh, Portland. You already said Brooklyn. Yeah, Portland. That's 5 more
Plus
teams. And
anyone else that gets announced.
I imagine. Did you
I
see
can see
Corpus Christi today had a
Yep.
huge announcement?
I could
They
see
got
them playing into it. I could see Vermont Green,
we
who have
might see
been
20
really
teams in
good
the
and
league by
solid
2025.
We could
in
see
League
So I
Two.
Tucson
think
come back up.
I think the round.
Tucson, whatever Tucson's been doing, because they're going to be in the Super League, so I'm expecting them to make the bounce back up any second now.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then John and I, we had a good conversation on why this should be important on Twitter. That's why I tried to like your post when you said who's talking. I went on my profile and liked it.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, there's 3 guys who are linked to this account, and you keep saying I.
No, I know. That's why I liked it.
I
liked it. So I liked it.
Yeah,
So you
I
knew it was
got that
me.
yeah.
Just so, because I was like, this is my opinion. Like, this is me. I'm glad you
You're
said
fine.
that. But
I catch myself doing that with the Railbird sometimes because I run the stuff. It's like, I'm speaking for all of us, all the Railbirds. I'm not just speaking for myself when I'm on here.
Dude, I get, because I'm in that mode, even when I'm by myself, I say we. And I'm like, oh my God, and I sound crazy because I'm just myself. Like, I'm like, man, I just get caught up in the, but no, like, my only thing, I think the USL, I think there's a certain, I don't know if you guys agree, but like, I think the USL is in trouble. Not in trouble, but like, they're obviously competing with the mega power in the MLS, and there's I don't know. I mean, well, obviously, all support our teams, but I don't know how you feel about your team potentially joining MLS Next Pro in the future. But I'm not a fan. I don't want to
No.
play reserve teams. I personally want to play for something more meaningful than being someone's B team, for example. So like,
I don't know how
I
that's
think there's a
working with
term.
the
I think
independents.
no. I just want to just throw it in real quick. Like, I think there's a certain time frame that with this World Cup coming to the U.S. that you really got to gain soccer attraction to your specific cause, and I think like just having a USL League One only cup. This is why I was just going off of. I think it's like a miss in my opinion because I think like they needed to get the championship right here right now to try to push something that's super awesome, interconnect the leagues because I feel like the USL League One doesn't get the attention, doesn't get the funding from the main USL. Like I mean, obviously that's why because of their expansion fees and stuff. But like if you want to grow it, it has to be talked about. And just having a USL League One Cup, you're not really mixing. I just think that's a missed opportunity to mix in with the championship teams. But I know you said they just may not have opted in for this year. So my only thing was like having a USL League One Cup for just one season. Like, what is that? Why is it meaningful? Because it's just a one season thing. We don't really like. We don't even know that if championship teams are joining. But I was just like, like if this only gonna last 1 year potentially, like I'm not gonna like. Yeah, it's cool to maybe win in that year. I'm gonna celebrate in that moment. But like historically, it's not gonna mean too much. So I feel like we need to get started on connecting the leagues. That's all I was going with.
But if you have championship club owners who are reluctant to sign on to the pro rel deal and they see the monetary prize in League One and how it affects the growth of that club who wins it, that's going to entice them to want to be involved in a sort of USL Cup if they decide to expand it to include all levels of USL. So at that point, they may be more receptive not only to a USL umbrella, type of tournament and cup, but also be more receptive to promotion relegation in the future.
Yeah,
I
and
guess maybe where I'm. Yeah, go ahead, John.
And that's what the issue. Like we're all League One fans. We all want pro well. We gotta remember the USL championship teams paid $15 million more than our owners to get their team.
5 versus 20. Or something like that.
It's like 20 mil. It's 20 mil to join USL Championship, 5 mil to join League One. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to, play devil's advocate, but as someone in finance, your investment has risk, and pro rel should be a big risk. And if you're going to go ahead and put up that money, obviously, but I don't want to dive into pro rel on that. I don't know. I'm pro USL League One Cup guys, and even if it happens for 1 year and it's just a test the water thing, to me it's cool. Just seeing the way that I know some people don't like that US League One could be used as a test subject, but whether it's in the championship, like if there was a USL League, excuse me, if there was a USL Championship Cup and it was just the Championship Cup, championship teams, I mean, I would feel a little jealous, a little bit left out kind of thing. So in one way, I'm kind of excited that it's happening in our league. For me, just the way the schedule is set up with the second half of the season being so focused on that playoffs and the first half of the season, getting the season started and having the Open Cup games, there's just that if you were to do a League One Cup, that window in April, May, maybe even May, June, where I don't, not to sound mean, but most of the teams crash out of the Open Cup, you have an opportunity to do something for 2 weeks. If we go off of, again, this is just off of my model that I came up with, where it's 3 teams, 4 groups, you can have game 1 on Wednesday, game 2 on Saturday, semifinal on Wednesday, the final on Saturday or Sunday. So in 2 weeks, you could have already wrapped up this whole League One Cup, and off
Well,
you
I
go
don't
into
think
the
that's the
season.
goal because what I was mentioning was the Omaha schedule being only 22 games. I think they're trying to create like an NBA in-season type deal where 10 games kind of matter more. Like, not saying it's gonna be the NBA in-season deal, but
We
like
don't
I'm kind
we
of
don't
like,
know.
well,
We don't know.
I'm just basing it off the Omaha release schedule that only has 22 games total, and that's 10 less. Not 10 less. How much is that? 10 less?
Well,
Eight less?
it's going to have 32
That's
total,
10
same as
left.
last season.
There's
So that's 10 less games, Rico. And then what we have predicted is already 2 times games against 3 other teams for the League Cup, plus 2 other games outside, which is what, 8 total? Is that 8?
But also consider the fact that we have US Open Cup matches.
Mhm.
And if a team has a deep run in the US Open Cup, all those mid-season US Open Cup or the midweek US Open Cup matches, plus all of those League One Cup matches, plus the weekend regular season matches, that's a whole lot of heavy load in the beginning of the season, which could
Right.
immensely impact their season as they go forward toward the end of the season.
I mean, do we have any idea when this tournament is going to be, like, in the regular season, like when it's going to go on?
from the picture, when the tournament is, I would have to guess. Well, let's see. Let's scroll back to find this picture. So Omaha plays their last game of it in July, mid-July.
Yeah.
Or no,
So-
August.
Late August.
So probably
late
big
August.
summer, I bet it's going to be a big whole summer idea. Like, I'm interested. I'm just interested. Like,
But also,
I'm only a hater at
What I
first because of the championship not being involved, but I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
I think it's gonna be sometime in late December or late September, because at least Omaha is playing till now the end of October. So it's looking like the playoffs are for sure gonna be in November.
Yeah. And if you think about if teams are going to be making a deep run in the League One Cup, September and October are going to be their chance to position themselves properly for the playoffs. But if they're still in the deep, run for the League One Cup, they still have to add those matches in there too. So this could be, a load management issue that we could be talking about in
Interesting.
many months ahead.
Well, this is where John was going with the youth development, maybe at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Just going off the picture of Omaha's thing, I think it's gonna be a week thing. Like they're gonna play the semifinals on a Wednesday, and the finals is gonna be a Saturday, and it's gonna be the end of September because there's a break there. They play a game on like the 21st of September, and then they don't play again until October. Omaha does. I don't know if there's an international break in there or something that could lead to that, but I think that's where the tournament final is gonna be. Because that gives like a month of planning to whoever makes it in.
Where do you guys see this
travel
schedule?
It was sent in that big old group chat.
It was
okay.
Scroll in the group chat and you'll
Way back.
Yeah.
Give me a moment then.
But it could also just be a bye week because there's 2 weeks between.
It could be a bye week. That's just that's the only time, from at least looking at Omaha schedule, if they were to make it, that like they could put it in.
Yeah.
I mean, Rich, when you're saying we still have Open Cup, I think like we have the 32 games plus Open Cup. So I just want to make sure like some team, like I think I don't know the financial situation of every team and what, but like I think I'm trying to look more in the future, and I think there needs to be a touch more games than rather balancing it out and switching it up. So I think my biggest complaints on this like rumored League One Cup is it's going to take away from regular season games if it's true. And I just think the championship should just be involved, like a USL Cup, just because like there's no way USL can compete with a Leagues Cup. Personally, they need to fund their own. It's just like because we don't all want to like Lexington. Or do you guys have your own stadium? Or are you guys planning on building your own stadium?
Getting our own stadium.
Those renditions are nice.
We don't all want to end up like the Loyal.
August.
You know what I mean? The Loyal just got like Hailstorm is honestly I'm honestly thankful that we're kind of. I think the owners, our owners are kind of deep pocketed because they own four different teams. So I think there's something sneaky about our owners, but I'm glad we at least own our facility. Omaha, you guys are trying your best to find. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I just think like if teams that don't have their own facility and like we're just always at risk of folding. So I
Well,
just want to like add in stuff that it could increase revenue to try to like increase interest and just having the championship be in tune with the League One. It's kind of like, yo, this idea is like, whoa, there's teams in Lexington, there's teams in Omaha, there's teams in Windsor. No one knows what the fuck Windsor. Fort Collins. We'll say Fort Collins. Sorry,
well,
kind of family friendly.
I think that's what we're kind of seeing with the expansion teams, at least.
Mhm.
At least with like that's why I liked when I saw Texacoma and Antelope Valley. They literally mentioned we have this stadium, we're renovating. Portland's like they have a deal with this high school or whatever. Like they're all these stadiums are kind of being linked in. So I think the league is going. You either need to know where your temporary one is for sure, or you need to have a stadium figured out. And like Lex was in the process of finding a stadium. We just had to get a temporary one while it was being built. So I think that the stadium, once a team has a stadium, I think they're solid.
And then Omaha is almost similar. I mean,
Well,
you guys
the
have been around since 2019. What's the holdup? Just in my like, just as an outsider.
doesn't the guy who owns the baseball team also own a union?
Yeah. So they're still doing some funding, and they're trying to pass some bills in state legislation to help with some of the funding for the stadium. They already have a plot of land in mind. They know what they want to do with it. They know what kind of the size they want to build for the
any
stadium and
rumors of
everything.
the size?
What's that?
You know any rumors of the size?
So it depends on who you talk to within the club, because there are people within the club higher up who want a smaller stadium that could further expand in future years. And then there are other people in the club who want to go full out and just build to the
Stationary
ideal
stadium.
max capacity right away.
Yep. I think that's an interesting one because, man, I think Omaha is like one of the most like. I mean, you guys have been around since 2019, since the beginning of USL League One, but I'm so jealous of your fan base. Like, I just as an outsider, just watching like all the supporters groups of different sections create their own, and just watching you guys all just be still like a big community, and just Omaha itself is growing so massive. Like, I'm sure you can attest that Omaha's growing itself, but like I think I kind of want the you can innovate it idea, because who knows like the amount of reach Omaha might eventually have. I know like Hailstorm they're building the 6,500 seat, which keeps you championship eligible if you ever wanted to make that jump. So I wonder if they're like kind of want to at least reach that championship capacity jump.
100%. Yeah. Union Omaha has never been shy about,
Wanting to be there.
holding back the idea that they want to go to championship. They have been very outspoken about that for quite a long time. So when the stadium is built, it will automatically fit the championship specifications from the get-go. From that point, it's just a matter of whether they want to build it with the idea of expansion onto the facilities in the future, or if they're just going to go and do that right away.
Okay.
And that depends on which owner, whether it's the majority owner or if it's some of the minority owners of who you talk to and what kind of insight you get from them.
No, I get that. I get that totally. And then yeah, I guess. And then I mean, I just have a quick question, just as a Hailstorm fan. Like, what's the watching experience like watching at our practice field? Is it just as an outsider? I'm always just at the home game, so I don't even.
I mean, on TV it looks fine.
Do you guys get a soccer? You guys get a little soccer feel?
No.
No. Okay.
No. It's kind of hard to get a soccer feel when you see like a dugout right behind the goal.
Yeah.
Especially when we went there the first time, and there was that whole thing between like Ammon and Knight, and someone went like down into the dugout because of it. And I'm just like, you don't
Man.
usually see people like go down steps on the side of the pitch.
No, I was just wondering because I'm like, as a spectator, because they added the standing room on the side. The standing room is probably like one of the best things they've done because that sucker fills up. But I'm like, I wonder as a fan because I'm at every home game. Like I don't know what it looks like on TV. Couldn't tell you guys.
It looks fine.
Yeah, and then shoot. I just hope the USL League One Cup just pans out the way it should. Just like Omaha. Do you guys have a academy team? Just curious.
The academy situation is a bit unusual for Union Omaha. There's been an academy presence in the past, but it's sort of waxed and waned about whether the academy is active and how active they are. So it's certainly something that is on the forefront of a lot of people's minds as the club continues to grow, and making that academy much more of a permanent presence within the community. But at this moment in time, it's a bit of a unusual presence.
Because I know the fandom. They want to be. Because I saw some discussion on USL or on Twitter or X these days. Like what makes a club a community club? And someone said you need to have a women's team, an academy team, and a men's team. But and I know Omaha's really trying for both the other two.
Well, that was me. I said,
Oh, that was
if
you?
you're,
I
you
just
gotta be,
remember it because that stuck in my
yeah.
head because I want my team to be. I wanted my team because I wasn't like complaining. I just kind of wanted my team to fulfill those same criteria. I'm like, where's our academy team? Where's our women's team? And they're starting to.
To my point, it was you need to have more than just a senior men's side. So in this case, that's like technically not Madison, but Madison right now doesn't have an academy. They don't have a W League team. They're launching the Super League, but even that's been reportedly delayed now. So like, and I dealt with a Madison person about that. Like they felt like they're a community team. I was like, you really aren't. You have no way to get in there without these other things, or you're not in these other aspects.
Mm-hmm.
NOCO, you have the rain now. You're doing it. Omaha does stuff with the Special Olympics, and they partner with them a lot. That's something like if you're doing anything beyond just fielding a men's team, you are a community club. That's my opinion. But if you're literally just doing that, you're no better than like the Denver Nuggets. You're just a team.
Of course.
Oof, that's so harsh though, because MLS teams really dive into the idea that part of the community.
Well, the MLS teams now have
Not the
MLS
Raptors.
Next Pro. They have their
Especially the Raptors.
academies. You have certain MLS teams that partner with their NWSL teams in the city. Like they're all that's like very community driven.
Community club.
Whereas like not even the Nuggets aren't even bad because they have G League teams. I would say like NFL, like Broncos, Chiefs, all that stuff. There's no other thing. It's solely that team. There's no other ways or anything else.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying because like you want like an avenue for the youth and women to both have their own kind of nothing in life is ever the same, but at least a platform to show your stuff. And I agree. I didn't even know you said that, by the way. It just stuck in my head for a while because I was like, I want my team to kind of fulfill those criteria because I'm like that does make sense to me to have. You need a women's team. You want to like, and then you said also I think an academy, which I am totally like. You need that like, like if you want your own. Like if Omaha wants to be successful, if Hailstorm want to be successful, you need to start launching a way to play other, like the way to get the youth going, like get the community involved. Like all I know is like there was a Rapids player that made that was from Fort Collins, and I look back and I'm like, damn, imagine if he had a third division team in his own neighborhood before then. He could have been balling with them for a little bit. Like, you just start to pick up on talent miss, and I think that's what you're going at. Like, you don't miss the genders, you don't miss anything when you actually start involving everyone.
So I'm gonna ask you guys, put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's 18 years old, just played their whole life at, let's just say, the Hailstorm Academy, the Snowballs, and they get to a point that they have to make the decision to take the leap of faith and hop on to USL League One per se. They get signed to Hailstorm and have a career in soccer, or again, you're an 18-year-old, you have to make this decision. You have the option of college. So there's that opportunity ahead of you of going to college. You get a degree as a backup plan. How you as an 18-year-old, what goes through your mind to divert yourself from pulling away from the college route? Because it's hard, and to convince a parent or the kid that this is the route you want to become a professional soccer player, you have to give up the possibility of getting a college degree, maybe even entering the workforce, stuff like that. Some factors like that play into account. So I just wanted to go ahead and put it into you guys' head. What goes through your mind to divert your decision from college to make that jump as an 18-year-old?
Well, yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, to the point, the USL Academy goes up to U20. And if you sign an academy contract, you can still play for the team and not lose your eligibility in terms of being a professional player. They sign a pro contract, that's a little different. In terms of if like you're playing, you can still get a college degree while being a professional athlete. But I think that we're entering a crossroads right now as the U.S. develops more academies and stuff. Is with college soccer what is the path? Like for women's, that's still kind of where it's at. There's very few academies. They still have this draft that they rely heavily on. But I think with the men's, especially, it's going that route of development. You want to go pro. That's what Joshua Winder with Blue City just did, and he just went to Benfica. There's been other cases of that, and you can build your way up. There's other cases of players who have played in the championship and that sort of thing. You have Matt Turner, who played on the Kickers. You have Ricardo Pepe, who played for North Texas in 2019, who's now in the Eredivisie. Granted, he didn't come through their academy, but there's definitely a path forward.
Yeah,
through
and
that. It's a lot
those
more
are
cut and dried in college.
those are some, I think, fantastic examples of players who were able to flourish and have a good career so far, representing the national team, even playing in Europe. But I mean, I'm looking at some of the, someone who is thinking of having a career, maybe in USL League One. Even having a 10-year, 5-year career in the league can be a little bit challenging. Some players, first one I think of is Lachlan McLean. He just retired prior to this season. So it's a lot harder than it might seem. And I feel like with these introduction of these academies, yeah, you have that option to be part of the academy. You could still go to college at 20. But then again, John, you get to that crossroad that you have to make the decision where am I going to be able to fully commit myself to this? Am I going to have a career in USL, even more than that? And so,
And I think that comes down to the academy director and the sporting director and the technical director. If they are fully honest and be like, hey, you have a future at least at our club or whatever, we see you being part of our team, or we know you can probably compete with other teams, or they're like, you're probably, because the thing is like, you gotta remember, even with how small our leagues are, we're probably having the top 5, top 3% of kids.
Right.
So if they're like, you're not in that upper echelon, go to college. You have a degree, you have a scholarship, go. It's like that. It comes down. I feel there are academy directors that are going to look at their U20, 22 men people when they're about to go and be like, 2 of you are going to be on the pro team. The other 20 of you should go to college. Go take your offers and stuff.
Rich, so you wanted to chime in?
I have 3 points
You're muted, Nick.
for this one with a perspective from Union Omaha, because you have a 1%, type of case with a player like Duncan McGuire, who played at Creighton, and I think he was able to graduate. He may have left early. I can't remember. But he spent 3 years playing for Creighton, I think. Now, this was a time when Union Omaha was still very, very early in their development. I think Duncan's first year at Creighton was uh, before Union Omaha was even formed. But still, Duncan went on after he was finished with Creighton to become this prolific scorer with Orlando City. He was on the highlight reel virtually every week with the MLS. So you have a 1% option like that, who's a local talent who could be brought into the club to perform, but chose to go to college, get that degree, move on, and become a pro. And then you have another case who is Hugo Kamatani, who played for Union Omaha in the 2022 season, played for University of Nebraska Omaha, and then decided to go pro and only lasted one season in League One, and now he's playing in the Cambodian Premier League. So you have the other end of the spectrum there, where he easily could have, stayed a couple more years with Nebraska Omaha to try to increase his stock chances to go to pro at that point. The third point I wanted to make is that there is the educational opportunity for League One players to utilize Bellevue University as that educational outlet to get that degree as they're playing as a pro. So they can continue to develop, get their degree, and choose their path, whether it's forced upon them through injury or if they, end up having a lengthy career in League One and continue to flourish and go up into championship or and so on.
Well, I guess this begs a good question that I want to ask. But is the USL the best route to go to the MLS at this point as a domestic player?
No.
No, that's the best route is get into the academies, go through MLS Next Pro, and then up. But that's the thing with MLS Next Pro. It's weird right now with them letting in independent teams, because to my knowledge, they are not feeders.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they
they're
get their
not
own.
direct. They can sign their own players. They're like a team can't like you. It's almost a transfer out. So like Columbus too. That's literally Columbus going. You are our next 22 or whatever.
Or at least
Whereas
like Huntville, they seem different, but they're Nashville.
like Chattanooga FC and Jacksonville Armada, who are independent, are I think like if a MLS team wants them, they have to pay those clubs to take the players from it.
Interesting.
It kind of happened like that this year with the Rapids, Nick. The Rapids had to sign Rapids 2 players on short-term deals instead of just pulling them. It would have to be a short-term deal that both parties would have to agree.
It just doesn't make sense. I guess at this point, like if you're at least, I guess if you want the third division, I think the goal of the MLS Next Pro is to try to get the independent teams eventually with your reserve teams, because they I think they see the competition in other regions of the country, but I don't know if you're making even just short term deals with your reserve players, it doesn't seem like a. I don't know. I don't kind of like that system. Like I right now I think the USL is growing, so I think you're gonna eventually see people choosing the USL over college soccer, because I think college soccer is starting to, their gap is minimizing when it comes to having influence in the pro game.
But I don't think I think the degree has more of an impact than the
Well,
actual
I get
playing in
that.
college.
No, I get that. But when you're talking, when I think John said, um, you got the option to get the degree while playing pro sports. Like I think people are going to start choosing a USL path over that university team,
Oh yeah.
for example. Like the fact that yes, that degree is going to always still be involved, but I think I'm talking more about playing for your university team versus playing for a USL League One team. And I think the USL needs. I mean, I think it's already on a nice path of. I think the MLS will start signing more USL players as we keep going.
I agree.
There's no when academy teams start popping up from Lexington, Omaha, NoCo, they're not going to be able to wrangle every best domestic kid in the world or in the country. Um, So I think we're at that point though where they're gonna. I think the teams are gonna have like. I bet Hailstorm has a deal where McCain Clark can, at least if he goes to a local college, can play for the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it's different if I'm like if you're transferring to a different school out of state,
Yeah.
you probably got no shot at playing. But like I'm sure they'll give them that option. I think the question begs that they're going to choose the university team over the third division pro team. And I think as USL grows, you're going to start. We're still not at that point where we're nabbing the best college players, even for the championship. They're still waiting for the draft. Like MLS gets still quite a bit of good players from the draft. Not saying they're great, but they're not. They're quality. They're not. They could be playing in championship, in my opinion. So I think as the USL grows, we're gonna start seeing that shift from yes, they'll get their they'll get their degree, but they're gonna probably choose the pro route over their university team.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be a big shift in US soccer.
And as USL continues to grow, as the minimum wage in the USL umbrella continues to grow, players are going to feel more supported and more enticed to join USL, and that's going to sway their decision to move away from colleges which if they're not getting a scholarship, they're actually spending $100,000 to play over the course of a few years, and no guarantee of getting a degree if they decide to go pro early. And so, as USL continues to get healthier and the wages continue to go up, I think I agree with you. Academies are going to continue to flourish. Player acquisitions are flourish. Player movements up to championship, up to MLS are going to reap the benefits to the clubs where the players came from. So yeah, USL is going to continue to position themselves in a great space, and it's going to benefit everyone as it happens.
Kaz, my only fear, like for example, like Kazai Sterling, which is rumored to go to MLS Next Pro, does he see that currently as the route to get in the first team? Because I know I can make a list of players right now that struggled in USL 1 that are honestly about to get a pro contract for the MLS team. And I wonder if there's just like a gap of we're competing, we're not going to look at your players unless they're under our umbrella, and if any of that's going to change. Because I look at what's his name? Lucas Coutinho. And I thought he was okay at Omaha. He had his bright moments. He hit some nice goals. But now all of a sudden he's gonna get the Atlanta United call. And I just don't think he was like I think he hopped in MLS Next Pro and everything changed a bit because I'm on the fence that it's not a better league than USL League One MLS Next Pro because of the experience gap that comes with the USL League One, because we have players like Rob Cornwall that are Europa League experience, and there's players all over the league, and that age gap's huge. But like, I'm still on the fence that USL League One's better. But like, but you see a player like Coutinho, would he have had that chance under Omaha? Then he would have had that chance, or was he on Omaha Greenville? Was he on Greenville?
He was Greenville.
Yeah, Greenville. Would he have had that chance at Greenville that he did at Atlanta too to make the MLS? And that's my biggest concern for the league going forward is is the first division even considering USL players if they're not under their umbrella? Because I saw he played better at MLS Next Pro because I don't see it as a better league, but it's more
Yeah,
maybe.
didn't the Union Omaha had the kid who went to Minnesota United last year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But I do agree with you, Nick, on the terms of there might be, and I'm not sure if maybe there might be an overlook from MLS when it looks at the trickle down umbrella of USL when it looks down at USL League One. But I think with the academies as they go ahead and continue to pop and grow and flourish, that would go ahead and give more scouts, maybe in MLS and outside of MLS, even outside of the United States, a chance to look at these kids while they're early, because there's business in having your kid in USL Academy and then having him go into Europe or to the MLS. So there's a big business there that USL League One teams can look at. I just wanted to go ahead and touch on that.
To Europe.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I think right now a lot of right now, most players in USL League One are thinking about making the jump to the championship, not necessarily looking at the MLS. And then championship, they're maybe looking at the MLS. So
I just have a
players like
sneaky feeling as the more names come out, the more we'll be like, man. I just have a. I haven't released all the names that have been rumored of leaving the MLS Pro, but it's a lot of top quality USL One players going to make the jump, probably for that opportunity over championship because they're right in the umbrella. That's the only concern I have with the USL going forward.
for me, I mean, again, I think a lot of it is being overlooked because only Trevor so far making the jump to the championship.
We got Evan Conway, we
Uh,
got Greg Hurst.
Menzel,
Oh,
the
whoa,
goalkeeper for Greenville.
we.
Jared Mazzola.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
I
Sorry, I
know.
thought you were saying like we as in the league. There, sorry.
No,
My bad. I said Nick, we, and then my bad. As Hailstorm, but the league in general, the talent that's making the jump is so fine. I mean, just an example, the top goalkeepers, Lalo, Shimin, Pack, shocking to me. That I guess they're still in the USL League One. I mean, they should have been a jump to the championship. I think those are just some names that I'm spitting out here, just the quality in the goalkeepers. And it's very fine. It's very fine the players that go ahead and make the jump. So it's so early right now. I don't think the players have that power to go ahead and make that jump to the championship or even the MLS. It's so fine. The margins are so fine. And right now, MLS Next Pro is on the rise, and these it's so hard for these players to go ahead and make the MLS jump themselves. Like again, I'm just throwing the Rapids here as an example. When you have Ollie Laras, Remy Cabral, Yusuke Hanya who make first team, and then Adam Buju who makes second team for MLS Next Pro. Adam Buju didn't get any minutes for the Rapids. Ali Laras got called up for a League Cup, didn't get minutes. Yusuke Hanya got a few minutes when he was in hot form, again, in those short-term deals, but the Rapids were struggling heavily with injuries that instead of the Rapids actually promoting, for example, Yusuke Hanya from Rapids 2, like every fan expected, we went and got Danny Leyva from Seattle Sounders, a player who was struggling to get minutes for the Sounders. So it's very fine. These margins, the players that go ahead and make the jump, it's very difficult for them. But hopes on the academy, guys. Hopes on the academy. That will go ahead and pay out in the dividends on players that we get to see in the future playing USL League One. And as we get better players, the league gets better. More players will go ahead and move up. Who knows what the league will look like in 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're coming to the end of we're
2
over
hours.
2 hours, so I think we're coming to the end of the first round table. I'll let Rico end it, but I think we talked about everything we needed to, boys.
Yeah, guys, it was a pleasure. We had Jon and Rich, Nick, myself here on the first ever USL League One roundtable, local media. Fantastic representation from Hailstorm, Lexington, Union Omaha. And as we continue to go ahead and have more of these episodes this off season, we'll go ahead and be joined by some fantastic guys that we've mentioned throughout the podcast. Fellas, it was fantastic pleasure having you as always on the show. The next one's going to go ahead and pop out will be in January. So after the New Year's, so much time between now and the next episode. Who knows what kind of announcements we'll have. I know that we're going to have killer deals on our shop, on the Hailstorm shop. That's just the way we do things. And fellas, again, super pleasure. Guys, leave a like, a retweet. Make sure to follow the fellas on the X. I will go ahead and when I post this video on the X, it's going to have a thread of um, stuff that you're involved with, Jon, your supporters group, stuff you're involved with, Rich, this Who Gives a Hoot, League One on the Rocks, Nick, stuff you're involved with, Outlet, the Storm Chasers. So it'll be a detailed thread for our listeners. I don't know. Do we have a League One roundtable like punchline?
Not yet, I don't think.
Not yet.
Maybe we should.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Gotta,
I came
gotta
unprepared for that
workshop
one.
that.
That'll be our next task. So keep us in line for the next episode, episode 2. As always, have a great night. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Ciao, ciao.